Welcome to Albion TV presents the AO Daily Show, your source of real news in an unreal world, keeping you up to date on the latest news, events, and the great community of Albion Online. Today is Thursday, the 12th of March, 2020, and I am your host, Shozen. And joining me today, as always, is my co-host, Bogul. Bogul, I'm going to go right into it. Would you like to explain to the audience about the last 10 minutes of the show? All right, then it looks like
I don't know. We were 10 minutes late because I didn't click start streaming, sir.
So we definitely just did 10 minutes of show.
Yeah, I was checking sound levels. I was checking the visual aids. I was like, wow, this bar is moving really nicely. Everything's going on. People are raffling. This is a good show. We had
People
a good
are talking
thing going.
In chat. Everything is working as intended.
Yeah. Whoops.
And then I was like, my Twitch isn't loading properly. I'm just not getting new visuals. And then I was like, hey, Bogul, do you mind checking the stream? I'm getting some weird visuals on my end. And he goes, that's because I haven't hit start.
Well, here we are. Welcome to Albion TV on Newbie. What is this, Thursday?
Newbie Tuesday on a Thursday. Yes, and once again, we are proving that we are the perfect people to be hosting a newbie show by noobing it out in ways that are new and improved. But today we do have some quick PSAs for you. We had a bit of information that came out this week, and we will be sharing that with you. And we hope that you do enjoy that. And then we will be going into our newbie special, where we will once again be going over the very basics of getting out of the crossroads. Some of you very skilled players will recognize it and go, wait, I've seen this before. And yes, you will be very happy to enjoy it again, because I will be giving out a literal crap ton of raffles during this event. I have 9 750s, a pair of 3750s, and a pair of 1750s. But before I do any of that, I had said that before all this started, there was going to be a raffle and somebody was going to win that raffle. And I drew that player's name, and the chat said he wasn't here. But I see him right now.
What does that mean?
Slice of Salami, you won the raffle. Go ahead and message me, sir. There was a 3750 raffle specifically for the people who were brave enough to stick through us while we had
technical
difficulties. So, Slice of Salami, go ahead and message me, man. I believe, I'll go back into the archive to make sure it's you. And if it's not, I'll give you a prize too, because I said it was you. But I believe if I go back 1 second, I'll look back, Slice of Salami, nice icon, brutal mustache. Good job. Thank you. Just message me here on Twitch. I will type in chat so all of you will know how it works. Hello.
So we're going
to get to the PSAs.
PSAs,
yeah.
Sure.
Part of the PSAs, Bogul, was that we are absolutely going to be giving away some good raffles today. So if you are a veteran and you're hanging out here today, I want you to hang out, answer some questions of some new players, and enjoy your chance at getting some extra gold in your pocket. And if you are a new player, take advantage of all the great veterans we have here in chat and ask them to help you with your problems. We will also be running a special on how you, as a new player, can best get out of the crossroads and start playing with the rest of the world. So if you, as a player who's in this channel, know anybody who could benefit from either gold or from new player information, now is the time to tell them twitch.tv/Albion Online is the place to go when it's on. When it's on. Oh, yeah. When we hit that stream button, it's the best stream on TV.
I will never hear the end of this again, ever, will I?
Not today.
Oh, well. Well, what we also do here on the AO Daily Show is we talk about news. We talk about things that are relevant to the greater Albion community. And that is an announcement that was made by Retroman just what is this, 2 days ago, where he announced the planned changes to the resource distribution in Albion Online. That is very relevant for you if you are a higher tier gatherer. It has all the specific planned things in there, and we talked about this yesterday, so we don't want to redo it. We just want to let everybody know who hasn't seen this yet that this exists. I linked it in Twitch chat. You can take a look. And that's one of 4 things we want to remind everybody about. Second thing is Queen Patch 7. Sorry. What's this?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Queen Patch 7. We had a number of updates and changes to Queen over the last 2 months. Bogul and I, before, while we were streaming to ourselves, discovered that we had 9 patches in 9 weeks. Because there was a patch the week before Queen came out, there was a patch the week of Queen, and there have been 7 patches each week since Queen. And that's an impressive track record. I told everybody, give old SBI a pat on the back for their efforts here. They are a small studio. They are putting out a lot of content, and they're doing a pretty good job of it, even though, there's been a couple of things that haven't been as well received. And I feel like this is our transition. First, let's say they did a good job with Queen Patch 7. They added a couple of things to make it easier around the portals, and you, sir, can get invisible, and you can get out of there, and you can get safer. They've also added a couple of caves that help you get your ass out of the portal zones before it gets ganked, and that should help.
There was also some changes to the black market loot in randomized dungeons. That was...
Oh, don't forget the randomized dungeon loot. I almost forgot about that. That was actually pretty good. They've improved loot distribution so that if you get a T8 chest, it's not going to have 5 or 6 tier 4 or 5 loot in it, right? It's going to be 6, 7, and 8.
And I think
4 7s,
4 2 and 5 1 2.
Yeah, equivalent and the equivalent.
Yes.
So let's you'll get the equivalent, but you won't get flat 4 anymore in your T7 either. Finally. So that's good. It's good to know. It's good to know. They're improving the distribution. But we were saying earlier, and we put a lot of time in the intro that you guys did not hear, into disarray. And there are proposed changes to disarray coming up, because one of the few things that have happened in these 7 updates that was not as well received as others were some of the updates to disarray. As disarray has become more and more powerful, it led to a situation where tanks could get one-shotted by giant meteors, and it was just not fun. People didn't like it. They were like, so that is being changed. No longer will you become a simple glass cannon as your friends join you. You are no longer more vulnerable to damage. You are, however, less effective at doing damage, using CC spells and healing your party. So you won't get one-clapped anymore by galas or meteors or, weeping or, any of these other...
That's the hope, at least, I suppose.
Yeah, that's good. I like it. I hope it makes you happy, but it's still going to be disarray, and it's still going to be effective in changing the way that people play in ZVZ combat for sure, as you will be less effective.
It might feel very different, and when I read this, I'm like, well, all right, this looks cool, better, and the scaling is much quicker, right? Because these are not as scary like damage. The scaling up of the effects are quicker based on the amount of players, but still this should feel different, and I'm very curious to see if this makes it from the playtest into the test, like the actual game as is. But this is something we have to see. But it's on the horizon. People saw, or SBI saw, that disarray is maybe in need of some fixes, and they are working on changing that.
Yeah, it's a proposed change that I think would be a good change compared to what we're facing now. We had seen activity dip among some of the top ZVZers. I don't want to say it was across the board, because we still saw some really good activity, and it's been pretty good. And today we saw good activity. If you are someone who's interested in watching ZVZs, the ZVZ show from earlier in the day was actually a good one. So I'm glad we were able to end out the week of ZVZ shows on a high note. It was action across the board from beginning to end. I enjoyed it. Thank you to everyone who came out and participated, and thank you to the many players who actually let us know where the ZVZ action was happening. we cannot bring you ZVZ action if we don't know where it is. And right now, we mostly spend our time looking before the show for territories, towers, castles, and hideouts that are going to be under attack. But when we get to hear from a player that they're about to be in battle and we can actually show that right away, that is so much easier. And we appreciate that. Bogul, do we have anything else to talk about as far as these PSAs before we can start the new player show and I can start giving away gold?
One little thing that I wanted to bring to the attention is that Robin Henkes, the CEO and it says game developer, it's actually game director of Albion, made a little tweet last week where he said that they want to publish the roadmap to, well, not today, but this week. And we were hoping to have that on the show today. Now we're hoping to have it on the show tomorrow. But he also made another little tweet that I think is interesting where he says, when you're running an MMO like Albion Online, going to bed feels like leaving the kids in the amusement park to play on their own in unattended rides all night. What could go wrong? A lot of shit could go wrong.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys out here offering candy is what the problem is.
Oh,
nobody stopping them. Oh boy, there's do we really attend when they're never mind. We need to move on, Bogul, and get this show on the road. We're running a little bit late today, and I feel like these players deserve themselves some gold codes. Now, I will say, when we first did this one, I did say that, this is when we talked about a couple of weird things that are going on around here. First of all, Robin Henkes, great guy to work with. Seriously, enjoy it. But my current carnival around my house is just full of sick people and quarantines.
I know.
Yeah, I'm currently Corona quarantined. My family is Corona quarantined. We had a pallet of food dropped off. Fun.
Oh my God.
So.
Yeah. I don't know if it's too soon to make jokes about that, but it's
like, I suggest, we all just try to keep a stiff upper lip about it and deal with whatever comes. And I've always been one who deals with almost everything in humor. So you probably will hear many horrible, horrible jokes. And the worse it gets, the worse my jokes are going to get. And I do apologize for that. So hopefully my life doesn't get too dark on you guys. All right. Now let's turn off the Joker and move on to New Player Tuesday and some raffles.
Yeah. I will link this segment that we are playing for everybody to show to newest players. I think that's not a word, newest players, but the next episode is about getting out of the crossroads. It is a very basic overview about the map, the zones, the very first things you should know about when you look at your minimap, basically after you complete your tutorial. So if you have a friend who is just getting into Albion, that's a good thing to link to everybody. And I will be posting that in chat in a bit. Of course, if you have comments, suggestions, any other opinions, type them in a Twitch chat so we can read that, incorporate that into future reruns or redos of this episode. And with that said, any last words before I press play, sir?
Just if you see your name in the chat, please do whisper me. I will not be looking for any winners today. I will only be calling out names, dropping them in chat, and then giving out the codes to the people who whisper me. I will continue to drop my name in chat so that you don't have to look too far to find me. But I hope you enjoy.
All right.
With Newbie Tuesday, we want to help new players find a place in this world once they finish the tutorial. The game does a great job of teaching you the basics, but once the tutorial ends, players often ask, what do I do next? Albion TV and Newbie Tuesday shows are here to help you guys answer that question in some way or another. In this show, We will go over a bunch of information that is useful specifically for new players. In case you have any guildmates or know any new players, now would be a good time to poke them, send them a link, tell them this episode is on, or at least show them in the future where they can find it. Today, our topic is getting out of the crossroads, AOTV's guide to getting started and understanding the new map. Bogul,
Yes.
where are you?
I am in the Highland Cross. I'm in one of the zones that you end up after you finish the tutorial, after you help Captain Tia repair her ship and you escape from that newbie tutorial island. It is I would call it starter town almost. If you look around in the area, you see a bunch of tier 3 buildings. And it has a lot of people in here, but Shozen, you said getting out of the crossroads? What's this about?
Well, Bogul, as you know, the crossroads are kind of limited. They have a limited market, they have limited crafting and refining, and they only have access to T3 zones around them. So why don't we go ahead and open the world map, take a quick look at where we are. Now, this is nice, Bogul, because do you remember where we started when we first started playing this game?
I think that was the same one.
Right here. We started in Highland Cross because Martlock, best lock. Now, Martlock is one of 5 outer ring cities. To the north, you have Thetford. East of there, you have Fort Sterling. Down to the southeast, you have the Forest of Limehurst. And then going west, you have the desert city of Bridgewatch. Now, you'll probably hear me refer to it as Bridgelock because Martlock, best lock, Bridgelock, just a guild.
Yeah, so you stumbled out of the tutorial. You sort of managed to unlock your T3. We assume that you are at the point where you have your T3 unlocks. You sort of maybe did a little bit of the question in the beginning, but really you're trying to figure out what to do next, maybe what to do to get tier 4, because I think that's one of the questions we hear a lot is, where do I get tier 4?
Yeah, like, where do I get T4 is that, and where do I find Chestnut are the two biggest questions that I hear in all of Albion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Bogul, it's an easy answer. You just have to go to the city. You have to get out of the cross. And my biggest pet peeve is that people stay in the cross too long. I suggest leave there before T4 even. While you're still, as soon as you hit T3, get your butt to a city, drop off all that stuff you've been collecting, and find the city that is right for you. It's not that hard to get to the closest city. But if you open the map, you'll notice that while it may look very far away, it's an entire screen away on the map. It's really only one tile. Sure, you could take 2 tiles to get there and go the far way, but really, it only takes going to Mace Knoll and then hopping over to Martlock. Now, if you look at any of the other crosses, Bogul, it's the same thing. They all have the same thing. You look at Step Cross.
Yeah.
1 jump over to Bridgewatch. You go to Limehurst. 1 jump over to Limehurst.
Same thing.
It's very easy. Once you get there, you'll notice if you go into the city, Bogul, you have many of the same amenities that you have on the cross. You have your marketplace. You have your bank. But you'll notice you have something else. Those
a lot more people is what I noticed.
A lot more buildings, Bogul. Buildings.
Oh,
and
buildings.
They're quite different than the buildings that you find over in the cross, as that they are much higher level. Now, there's some other nuances in this that we could get to other than the fact that they're player owned. But we're going to skip that for now. Basically, know this. You can level up from the beginning to the end in this city. These cities are all connected to the end game. Outlands. They have portals that allow you to go to the giant continent to the north, which has no name.
I think it's just called the Outlands, right?
Outlandia, the Great Outlandia.
Because the Spanish went there first? No. What?
No, that was what Elsa said. Do you want to read what he said the name is? Because you told me I said it wrong.
I don't have that, no. But I think it's called the Outlands. And you said the portals. But I think the portals are something to discuss later. I think the first thing you want, or why you would want there, because at some point you need T4, and you sort of need a hub, a economic place where actual trade is happening. Because if you sort of compare the marketplaces between a royal city and the cross cities, it's vastly different. First things, there is not a lot of people buying stuff there.
Yeah, nobody's going to buy your tier 2 resources that like if you go there and you stay in that crossroad and you build up a bunch of T2 or T3 resources and you hope you can sell them at that marketplace, you'll find that no, there's a glut of that level of resource. Nobody's there buying it. But if you go to the circle cities, the Martlocks and the Fort Sterling, you'll find that there are lots of people who need those low tier resources, and they'll buy them up right away.
Yeah. So functioning marketplace, more volume, access to tier 4 crafting and refining. Cities have special bonuses as well that are beneficial for certain things you make in that city. So there are specific crafting and refining bonuses depending on the city you are in. But it's also a good place to just decide to be your home, right? Or to just make your home, because I think that's what you want to push people for. Pick a city sort of, and then make that your home, because it's a better home than the
Crossroads. It's a better home than the cross. And it's, if you go to the cities early on before you stack up a bunch of materials that you have to move, you'll be more likely to pick the city that is good for you instead of just getting stuck at the one where you've moved all your stuff. Because once you get your stuff to that city, you don't want to move it between cities using the transport system between cities. Naked transport is free between cities, but once you start bringing materials using the transport system, it becomes very expensive. So go there early before you're really bound to any of your stuff, right? And you look at the different cities. Now, each city, Bogul, do we want to describe each city a little bit right now while we talk about them, how they're like each in different biomes and how they each have a little bit of a different bonus? And we can talk a little bit about the info you get on the map.
The crafting bonus already. But if you zoom out very much, you see that these cities, 1, 2, 3 English. These cities are all located in different, you mentioned, biomes. It looks different. The Martlock city we were in has this kind of green shade. This is the highlands. If you look at Bridgewatch, it's the desert area, or the steppes as it's called. If you look at Limehurst, it's the forest area. Fort Sterling is called mountains, and then Thetford, the biome, is the swamps. And these are different. How, Shozen?
Well, the resources you can pick up in each one, Bogul.
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. But each city also has like a refining bonus to the resources that aren't readily available, and they have a crafting bonus generally to a couple of different items. And if you are one of the people who wants to, say, go into crafting and you want to make a specific weapon or something, it's good to find out where those bonuses are before you make your home permanent. Take a look at the city. You can click on each one, and it gives you some information on them, right, Bogul?
Yep. You can do it on the world map. You can also travel there naked to see it.
I mean, I would I wanted to look at the tile zone, a normal tile zone, before we looked at a city zone. But if you hit the little drop-down menu over here, you'll see all the different bonuses that you can get to different items, and it'll show you what the items are, what bonuses are. So, for example, I'm in Bridgewatch right now, and you get a 40% bonus to rock. That's not too bad. That's a good return. Combine that with
the best ones in the game, actually, in terms of refining.
Yeah, it's a fantastic bonus, but you have to do some work to get that.
Because
you have to do a little transporting.
Bridgewatch is in an area, in a biome that doesn't have rock, and that's why it has the highest bonus. So it's an incentive to transport things to these cities. And I suppose, other than biomes, if you look at the world map, there's another thing we should briefly talk about, because it's probably something you figure out really quickly, but in case you didn't know it, I think the colors is an important thing to know about.
Oh, the colors of each zone, yes. We didn't discuss this yet. As you notice, like if you're in one of your cities, you've gone from the Cross to Limehurst, every zone has its numerical number next to it. It's a little Roman numeral that tells its tier. And then it has a square that's a different color. You have the blue ones, the yellow ones, and if you go a little bit farther into the center of the map, you have the red ones. These designate our different PvP tile set rules. Each area has different rule set for PvP. In blue, basically, for now in the beginning, we'll say there is no PvP, Bogul. Basically, you're safe. If you start out and you want to play in the newbie zones, you're safe. If you go to the yellow zones, however, Bogul, why don't we meet up in a yellow zone and go ahead and show these guys over in Elden Hill how the flagging system in this game currently works. And we'll describe a little bit about PvP and the different rule sets for the different tiles.
Yeah, I went over there. You mentioned it, the red zones and the yellow zones have different PvP rule sets where these are PvP enabled. So there is a chance for PvP for attacking other players, but that can't just happen. You have to have... Oh, you're actually attacking me already.
Yeah, apparently, Bogul, when we practiced this, when you learned how to flag, you stayed flagged. Bogul, why don't you unflag for the people so they can see how the flag mechanisms work? If you notice right there, he had 2 swords up there. That means he put himself into a hostile mode, and in yellow zones and red zones, he can now participate in PvP against anybody in those zones. He can attack people who are blue, like me, or people who are red, like him. If you're blue, like me, you can attack people who are red, like him, but you can't attack other blue players. So that means if you're hanging around another blue player, you can hang out next to him pretty safe, knowing he's not going to jump you and attack you. Now, in the different zones, in yellow zones, when you engage in this PvP, you're still pretty safe, because the worst thing that will happen to you is you'll get knocked down onto your knees, you'll suffer some durability loss, and you'll lose a percentage of your stacked items. Now, this is to have like a soft PvP to get you ready for the more brutal PvP of the rest of the game.
You said I lose an amount of my stacked items, so that's resources I gather, maybe if I have runes in my inventory, but I don't lose my gold or my silver, right?
No, you do not lose your gold or silver. Now, silver will go to the ground when you're knocked down as a reward for the player who did the beating, but that's basically dependent on your repair cost. Now, in a red zone, Bogul, should I beat you down in a red zone, you're not so lucky to fall to your knees. You get 2 options.
Well, you basically
can spawn at the nearest city, or you can spawn at your bound point. That's what you got, Bogul, because I'm going to take your stuff, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And
you're
you
dead.
Can kill me, right?
Your body
you can kill me and take my stuff, I think.
Well, when I beat you down in a fight and your hit points go to 0, which they will, your stuff stays on the ground in a fancy little bag that I can go over and loot. Now, there is a chance that some of your stuff will trash, and it's all going to need to be repaired. But I'm still going to be very happy when I put it into my backpack and take it home to Martlock.
Yeah, so that's the blue, yellow, and red zone difference there. And of course, the one that a lot of people also need to know or already know about is the black zone, because that's the 4th one.
That's a different beast, Bogul. There's no flagging in the black zone. You go into the black zone, nobody besides your alliance members are your friends. I mean, well, if you group with somebody, I believe they're your friends too, but then your alliance members can come over, and the guys in your group will appear red to them, and they'll attack the guys in your group, and then you'll be like, guy, that was my buddy. And you'll be like, he was red to me. Red is dead.
Yeah, default flag for hostile in the black zones. And there's the same thing
unflagging either. There's no unflagging. It's not like even default. It's like you're just stuck hostile there. There's no getting out of it. Now, Bogul, do we want to talk really quick about the effect of hostile players in a yellow zone? If you look on the bottom corner of your map in that yellow zone that you're in here with me, it has 2 swords that are crossed and a number 6 next to it. It tells people how many hostile players are here.
Yeah, so it's a good way to gauge the danger of a zone, especially if you're looking around. And I suppose, if you see 1 or 2, you can be pretty confident that you could potentially dodge them.
Yeah, you can get out of there.
If it goes higher, then you should definitely be wary. about little groups trying to pick off some people. So don't forget to look at your minimap if you zone, or if you, check out where to gather or where to look for fights, and maybe even pick some of the zones that have these crosses if you want to pick fights.
Now that we've covered the easy to see things on the map, why don't we talk about some of the things that you have to like really look at on the map and actually hover your mouse over to look in our zone that we're in right now, Bogul, in Eldon Hill. We have two different icons on our map. When you look at the world map, we have an outpost and we have a treasure site. Albion has lots of different items on the map that range from dungeons, overworld bosses, treasure boxes, solo dungeons, territorial conquest areas based on the factions of the different cities. There's a lot on here. Even different places to gather resources. Resource clusters are on the map. So, Bogul, why don't you hit a couple of these doodads out and show them to players so that they can see what they're looking at when they look at the map here, because it gives you a good bit of info of what you can do once you find yourself a home. Again, if you notice, these aren't right next to the crosses. These are a little bit spread out. You're going to have to go find them. Around the crosses, you might have some bandit camps or little monster, wandering mob camps. But to get the good things, the stuff that is a little bit more challenging and more rewarding, you have to move away from those crosses.
Ideally, in the long term, of course, into the Outlands. But I think that's a topic for the future, finding friends and going about joining a guild and these kind of things. But for now, you're still at the point where you sort of try to make a home, make your tier 4, tier 5 progress. I think one thing we didn't mention as for the cities is that there are some other options you have there that you don't have in the cross, or that you have to a lower degree in the cross. So is there anything else we should mention if we talk about zones, zone types, zone levels, zone tiers?
Well, why don't you go ahead and click on the zone right now from outside of it? If you're looking on the world map, look at one. We looked at a city and the information that you could see on a city. But if you go look at ours, the one that we're currently in, you can get a whole lot of info. You can see where people have died. You can see where the nearest hellgate is. You can see these giant red blobs on the map that represent large groups of players. There's a lot of info on the map. But if you look up top, there's some important info for when you're picking your place to live. You can see which resources are there and the spawn rate of those resources. How many of those resources are going to be enchanted and at which rates? And those are very important pieces of info as you're looking for where you're going to start in the early days. Yes, the end goal in a lot of this is PvP, even the medium goal. Some people, their very first goal is PvP. And for you, I recommend faction warfare and arenas. If you want to dive in right away, those two are readily available and easy to get into. Actually, Bogul, a bit of live tutorial going on right now. If you look over in the southwest of our zone, you can see a big blue blob. You see that?
Yeah, it's at the entrance to Martlock, and I think a bunch of people have spotted us, so I think we need to get out of here soon. But why do you mention blue blob? Because it looks differently and it's a faction flagged.
Yeah, well, we were just talking about one of the early things you can get involved in with PvP, and I don't want to make too much of this tutorial about that, but you'll notice on the map that you have the red blob. That indicates just generally any group of players grouping together from, I believe, 11 plus will start making blobs that get increasingly large as the number of people who are there. And if you see that the blue ones, green ones, white ones, these represent different factions for different city, meaning a large number of people representing a single faction have grouped together and are on your map. So if you see those on your map, don't be completely confused. The game isn't bugging out. It's not just, there's not a large group of NPCs. It's just a different, specifically grouped together group of players representing a faction from one of the 5 cities.
Yeah.
Just a unique thing that I thought it's a little bit higher level on the faction, on the tutorial scale than we want to get to today. But since it's happening right now next to us, I wanted to get to it. Other than that, right now, Bogle, I think we've given a good idea of what you can do with your map and in the early levels of getting to the city. Why don't we talk about some of the higher level things that we'll be discussing in the near future that really do require you to be in a city, such as
I want to show off 2 or 3 more things that you can do in a city that you can't do in the cross, and talk briefly about some of the icons you see on your city map. You can of course repair and go to the marketplace as you can in the crosses. You can also find the different crafting and refining stations. If you mouse over them, you see a bunch of more details. But other than that, the expedition master you might have seen in the crosses is a little different in the cities because it has higher tiers of expeditions you can run there. I think the lowest one in the cross is a tier 3 expedition, and these go a little higher, and you can even do group ones. And of course, you can sign up for arenas as well from the crosses, but there's also the option to do it from here as from anywhere in the world, really. But the important things that you can't do in the crosses are, one, the portal to the Outlands. This is something that is specific to the city, and that is the reason for the big traffic you have, the big amount of people living in that city. I guess some of the how do you call it, NPCs that are used to buy some things, like the arena merchant, or most importantly, the island merchant. The
island merchant is very important in there. But not until you. For me, this is like it's step 2, because right now we're picking out your starting city, where the first time you go out into the zones and start to make a name for yourself, you want to have a city where you base yourself out of. Later in the game, and hopefully not too much later in the game, you're going to start making friends. And you might find a guild to join. I hope you do find a guild to join. It's one of the most important things to do in this game. And as you start grouping with other players, you'll find that your home may have to change. And it's when you find that guild that I actually recommend making your island. I wouldn't buy an island when you're still solo, unless solo gameplay is something you expect to do for a while, because traveling back to your city before you have, like, if you have a guild that, say, is based out of Fort Sterling and you have your island based out of Martlock, doing that travel all the time can get a bit tedious. But if you can be in the same home as your guild, it does make life a little bit easier. Now, there were some things mentioned by chat that I think we should actually bring up, because they're absolutely correct. One, in addition to what we mentioned about those tiles, Bogle, not only do the PvP statuses change, but the rewards change in those tiles as well. It's not just based on the tier. The different tile sets, as your risk goes up, the rewards for them go up. The fame rewards, the silver rewards, the drop rewards, and the resource return rate all go up as you go up in risk. So yellow is greater than blue, red is greater than yellow, and black is greater than red. Very important to know about these early tiles. And one of those reasons why you want to move out and get into the greater risk areas, because the most important thing to understand in this game is the greater the risks involved, oftentimes the greater the rewards. Another thing that was mentioned, and we did intend to get to this, was we just talked about factions, and we talked about how that group appeared blue. Just like you flagged for PvP, Bogle, you can faction flag for your city and represent your city in PvP. And this leads to one of the unique circumstances in the game. If you're flagged for one faction and you come across people who are flagged for another faction, it doesn't matter what zone you're in. It's to the death.
I just tried to flag for the Martlock faction at the War Master here for Martlock, but it says I can't yet, so I have to be.
You don't have enough fame. Yeah.
No, I can't be hostile.
Because you were hostile from attacking me?
But that's where you do it. That's where it is on the map. All the cities have a big, cool-looking NPC that allows you to faction flag. Just be mindful about the thing that's next to your player name, don't be like me and forget that you're hostile, because that can lead to some awkward situations if you go out in the world and suddenly it's like, oh wait, am I getting attacked? Oh, I had the wrong flag.
Most of you don't have God mode.
Yeah. And then once you figured out where you want to live, is there any reason why you might pick a certain city over another? You mentioned that, your guild might be based out of there, your friends might be based out of there. I think one other thing to mention is that you might pick it based on your gathering. So if you really, really, really want to gather wood for some reason, then Limehurst is probably better than, I don't know, Martlock or Bridgewatch, just because the surrounding tiles have that in more abundance for you. And of course, we mentioned it briefly, the crafting bonus. So if you really, really want to craft, play, choose, maybe you should pick Martlock.
True. I mean, there's different reasons for everything. You have to balance the positives with the negatives on all of these, because you can, like we said, the risk to reward works out for a lot of people. Like if you were to, want to get that 40% bonus to stone crafting out of Bridgewatch, you can get over to the steps in a jump of 3 zones and have access to those stones in high quantities, and then just make a longer run, or risk a red zone in order to bring it back and get that higher return rate. This game is about managing risk and seeing what is the acceptable amount of risk for you to get your reward. But it's about risk. If you stay in the cross, you never risk anything. And then if you stay there too long, it can be a jolt to the system. I just read about one of our guys here in chat right now who said he had to spam tier 1 expeditions until he had enough silver to buy an ox so he can move all of his tier 2 and tier 3 materials out to a city. There's a faster way to do that by making the choice earlier in life and moving to that city earlier and buying the ox on the cheap.
Well,
coming back another day.
Well,
all right. But I think that's a good first run for this. We're going to listen to this. We're going to probably watch this and look to all of your guys's new player tips and hints and everything that you dropped in here. And we will add it to our next go around on this, because we're going to repeat this again in a month and try to get better at it and do better for the new players, because you guys who are the veterans who are listening to this now are providing absolutely great info, and we really thank you all for it. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull a bunch of raffles, because you guys are awesome, including a 3750. So get into the raffle now. I'm going to pull 3. One of each.
I suppose that's also a plug of this thing we do here. This is the AO Daily Show, the Albion TV thing we have here on Twitch, where we show a bunch of Albion-related content. We do ZVZ, casting the big fights you see with hundreds of players. We do Crystal League, fighting the competitive 5 versus 5. We do news, we do gossip, we show community content. Twitch.tv/Albion Online. We have a very regular program, almost daily, I would say, Shozen.
Yeah, we're here Tuesday through Friday every week. We are here at 19 UTC without fail. We're here, I'm saying most days it has seemed, at 18 UTC, showing off those great ZVZs. Sometimes we bring 21 UTC, depending on what the great schedule of the day looks like. And occasionally, even on Mondays, we've come out and dropped some ZVZs recently. Now, I don't know how many Mondays we're going to do, because Bogul, did you know that this Saturday we have an event? And we're going to be here right here this Saturday?
Yeah, we have an event every second Saturday. Yes, that's right. We do have an event every second Saturday. We are back now. We do have the event this Saturday, which is the Crystal League that is coming up. I am right now, as we are watching. Should I show this? Well, I'm showing Kantos Can. Right now, after the show, we wanted to end this here, but chat said, hey, there's a city fight going on. And we will just show that at the end of the show.
Nice. We'll just transition right over to that. I did pull a lot of raffles. Unfortunately, Bogul, some of those people didn't respond.
Oh, no.
But they did try to enter the raffle again. And I kind of got to, like, I want to call the people out for that. Like, if you enter the raffle, I pull your name, I say you've won the raffle, and then, like, then immediately after that, the only thing you do is, like, enter the raffle again. I worry about the language barrier.
Maybe we should do an IKEA-style show, or just do pointing.
No, I don't have the camera on, so all this pointing I'm doing is just like, just not working. Snurrup, you're not the one I was talking about, but Snurrup, you won too. You can still win your prize, man. Snurrup, you can still win. I'm really glad you got to talk to your mom. Message me. He's talking right here in chat. We all understand. Snurp, we're all having that conversation with our mom right now. You can still message me right here in chat, and I will still give you your prize. I'm not taking away your prize, man. That's not the way it's working. You're okay. You're okay. SKT, unless you're actually Sky T, it's totally okay that you were away. If you're Sky T, I'm not giving you the prize. Raffle rigged. No. Dude kicked me from my guild. Kicked my GM from the guild. Put Peekapew in charge.
Some things in Albion never go away.
Dude, I will never forget.
We might have one or two.
If I have any single power in the world.
We might have one or two people in here wondering what the hell is just going on. We had the newbie segment, and we had planned on ending the show, and now we're just goofing off for 2 minutes while we wait for a city fight to start. A city fight is guilds can wrestle for control of some of the royal cities that we just talked about. These have to be launched on from the Outlands, and these will be done as a 20 versus 20 fight. And today we will be covering the Bridgewatch fight, where hopefully June is attacking Minigolf, who is holding the city. The city owner gets taxes from the shops in the city. So these are pretty valuable, and guilds really like to compete about those. We will, however, not have live casting of this. We will just be showing the footage on the side so you can enjoy that. We will probably be showing... I was going for June. Or do we want to watch Minigolf?
No, watch June. It's their city, isn't it? Whose city is it?
It is Minigolf City. I mean, we are open for recommendations from chat. What chat wants to see?
Okay, you're so generous. You're so generous. I'm going to pull one more raffle. Then we're going to start this city fight, and I think that's the last they're going to hear of me until tomorrow.
Oh, they're going in. Wait, I need a name. I think Kantos can. Yes. All right. Whew. Wait, Kantos can on Ox.
Find a tank. They're the guys with the armor on.
Right.
I know, it's tough. It's tough.
How
tough
do I
life.
spell this dude? GG. No. It's Nook. GG. That's a locus. I'll look around.
You'll find one. But yeah, we will be back tomorrow with another AO Daily Show at 19 UTC, and then back again this weekend with live coverage of the Crystal League tournament. We will be covering the 6s and 7s, I believe, and Lupac will be joining us. I hope you guys all enjoy this city fight, and we'll be showing the city fight without any casting. Bogul, you could probably even put on some sound for this. I think they might enjoy that.
I did.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye. Enjoy.